Greetings, family. It's me. It's Alqamar coming to you live from the fall. Who is on here that's willing to join me this morning? I want to talk about this new movie that I saw the other night. Hey, who's that joining me? Greetings, family. Let me know where you are, where you chiming in from. And if you saw this movie that's currently out in theaters called Killers of the Flower Moon, I just wanted to give a brief recap of what I witnessed in that theater. It's very, very, very interesting movie. Very powerful movie. I highly recommend you see that. Hey, Kelly. Hey, I'm missing you, girl. Thought I was gonna see you this past weekend. But Killers of the Flower Moon, family. I give it 5 stars, and it's a very important movie to see, especially for those of us who are who have a sense of awareness of what's going on around us better than most. See that movie. It's a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro. Leonardo DiCaprio is, my God, he did his thing in that movie. I'm highly impressed with his acting skills. And I was telling my friend who I went with, I said, I'm watching him grow up in theater, you know? He's now been around for a while, and I'm watching him grow up. So he did an exceptional job playing that role. It's a true story. It's based in the Midwest. I'm not going to tell the whole storyline, because if you're anything like me out there, I don't like when people tell the whole story to me before I see it. You know, I want to get a good depiction for myself. So I won't tell you all the gory details, but it is a true story, and it's based in the Midwest, and it's about the native tribe, the Osage. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Let me know if you guys have seen it, because I'd like to kind of spar with anybody who's on the screen that's on the stream who've seen it. It's about the Osage tribe, and I believe it was the early 1900s. I believe, I could be mistaken, that the story took place. It's a powerful story, and it reminds me of the power of media and how important it is to get true stories out there, because it's helpful in just telling the stories of history, you know. And my father used to say they tell on themselves in their movies. And this is one of those scenarios where they definitely tell on themselves in their movie. It gave me some awareness of what is still going on today, literally. And again, I'm talking around the story plot, because I don't want to tell you in case you do want to go and see it for yourself. But if you do, just remember this. Remember, I was sharing the tribe that they were depicted in the movie. All the women were marrying outside of the native culture. They were marrying other people outside of their native culture. And what happened, and how the movie transpired, and it's a true story, and what happened to them at the end. And I got to thinking about how our brothers in the sports arena, a lot of them that we see on TV and things that they show us, and how they marry outside of their culture and their tribe, their own tribe. And it was comparing what happened back then to what's currently taking place today. And it's amazing how things, some things just repeat, constant repeat when we don't know. That's the power of telling the story. Because it's like, okay, so if you get a good depiction of the story that happened back then you can have a better understanding of today and what you can expect the same thing to happen today. And so it's like a warning button, you know, a warning button. But if you don't know, if you don't have any access to the information that happened before you was here, you don't have the warning button. So you step into the landmine and getting blown in the smithereens because you don't even realize that the warning buttons are there. So that's the power of history and the power of telling the stories of history. It was the same people who are causing all the havoc and the trouble and the chaos in the world amongst the people right now are the same people back then that they depicted in that story. And they go back even further than that. But it's like, for me, it's like connecting the dots. So it's like you now have a better understanding of why things are happening the way they're happening. Why does it seem like, you know, the world is in such a disarray? All this wickedness and evil taking place, and things are seeming to be going from bad to worse. It ain't getting better. You know what I'm saying? The crime rate and the destruction and the criminality and the cruelty and all those things. Those things aren't getting better. Things are getting worse. And why? You know? And so you'll realize, if you have a greater sense of awareness, that the same bloodline, because that's what they are, and we have a habit we pick this up from our enemies. We have a habit, I recognize, of lumping everybody into one box, the same way they do us, right? But the longer I'm on this earth, the more I recognize, and I'm able to put more pieces of the puzzle together for myself, the more I realize that it ain't everybody. You know, this whole lump thing we like to do and lump everybody into one box, it's not accurate, it's not true, it's not fair, based on skin color and things like that. Nah, it's a bloodline. And they keep their bloodline pure. And it's no secret. They tell you that's what they do. And it's a bloodline that's been around for centuries. And they cause all the havoc throughout the world. And yeah, this story, Killers of the Flower Moon, this story depicts that piercingly accurately. These people have no conscience, family. They have no conscience. And we think that we could appeal to some form of good nature when they don't have it. It's like it's the Antichrist. So everything in nature has an opposing force. Everything in nature has an opposing force, and so do we. So is people. So are plants and animals and everything. And so if there's people who walk the earth that are good in nature, that are loving, that are caring, and everything, you know, of nature that are good, then of course there's going to be an opposite to that exists with us in this earthly plane. And so the anti-nature is the bloodline of these people. And so again, I just recognize that this movie did an excellent job in depicting in true life, in real life. This is based on a true story. This ain't no fabricated story. So when you watch it, you're like, wow, you know what I'm saying? How can people be so evil? How can they be so calculatedly evil and wicked? It's because you have an opposing force. And when we don't recognize that, You know, a lot of us like to say, you know, it's good and bad. It don't only exist in us, and that's true. You know what I'm saying? But if you have more good in you than somebody else, they're gonna, and you're not aware, that their evil supersedes your good by times 10, and you're not aware of that. Well, they're gonna overpower you every time. So you must know your enemy. They destroy. That's their nature. Their nature is to destroy. You know, your nature is to build. Their nature is to destroy. And they do that, even themselves, because they can't help it. It's like trying to force a dog to stop barking. You know, that's a part of who they are. And so they will bark, you know what I'm saying, till the cows come home. And so are these beings that are amongst us. You know, their nature is to destroy, and they get off on that. And so they'll destroy everything, even themselves. Yeah. They depicted how their secret societies, that was shown evidently in the movie, and all of it again. And this took place over 100 years ago, so everything is still taking place today. They show how they used those needles, those jabs, to do their bidding. So much. That's the power of history. The more you know about your history, the more able you'll see into the future, and you're able to protect yourself better. So they showed that, how they use them damn needles, and they show how they got off too. Some of them ones that was using them needles, they was able to, at the very end, they told it, the ending of the story, and they show how they weren't even charged. You know, so they manipulate the system, and they're able to work the system in their favor, to where they can do all kind of damage and don't even have any repercussions and consequences from us. You know, because they're able to work that system so wickedly. Same stuff, different day. Yeah, man, these people can't be reformed. They can't. And when we understand that, we know how to deal with them. You know? And money is their God. You know, money is their God. They created the freaking monetary system. Fascinating. When we really, really stop and lay it all out on the table, they created the monetary system, you know, and put their faces on it. Put their faces on the money, and we out here killing each other for it. It's fascinating, family. They showed depictions in the movie of how the spirit world warns the innocent. Tell me if anybody there. I'm going down, breaking down some of the insight that I was able to come away with from watching the movie Killers of the Flower Moon. It was referred by a few reputable people, and I was like, okay, let me see this movie, because I don't normally go to Hollywood movies. I stopped that too. And so it was based on a true story. And so I wanted to see it because I've been out hearing a lot of muffling around about the story, and that it was one that was worth seeing. And I'm glad I did, because it's a powerful movie. And so I'm just laying out some of the things that I was able to withdraw from the movie. Yeah, I was saying that they showed a few times how the spirit world was came through in warning the native people of what they were dealing with. And but in how sometimes we can't see the warnings. We don't take heed to the warnings. Some of us do. You see that old lady, she knew exactly what was going on, but all the younger people and the people around her couldn't see. And so I found that interesting how they depicted that. And and what happened to her too after they show how when she transitioned and what happened to her. It fascinating story. Their loyalty to their bloodline. You'll recognize how they can love you. They can love you, and oftentimes they do, but that doesn't negate the loyalty they have to their own bloodline. And they showed that really good in the story with Leonardo DiCaprio, towards the end, and how he was in such emotional turmoil, yet and still he was loyal. He remained loyal to his bloodline even when love was involved. You live in Oklahoma. The story was based out of Oklahoma. Many stories from our history here. Yeah, I'm Marilyn Fisher, and this story has inspired me to want to go to the Midwest and do some more exploring. Cause I've never always fly through, going from one coast to another, but never stop to actually plant my feet on the ground and explore those areas, those regions. I've been to Nevada a few times and a few other places, but never the Oklahomas and the Wyomings and the Ohio's, Iowa, things like that. So I am very curious about getting out to some of those lands and just exploring some of the history related to the natives. So yeah, Marilyn Fisher, you live in Oklahoma. So yeah, so these stories aren't new to you then. So yeah, the loyalty to their bloodline is real, and despite how they feel about you. So yeah, and with all that, the conclusion is their time is up. Their time is up because we're living in a time now of reveal, revelation, reveal. And all things once hidden are now being revealed to us. And because it's time, it's time, it's these cycles of life that we find ourselves in. And we find ourselves currently living in the end of one cycle in preparation for a new one. And so there has to be change, drastic change in the land in order for that new cycle to come root. And our enemies understand it. They know extremely well that they're in the end times. So they do. And then I tell people too, that people push back on when they say they're the chosen. It ain't no chosen. They the chosen of God. They the chosen. I laugh. I said, they ain't lying. They ain't lying. It's just the way we perceive that statement. You know what I'm saying? If everything in nature comes from the created force, so are they. They come from the creative force too. And so they're being used for a specific purpose. We may not like it. We may not like how it feels. It may look ugly and feel bad and all that stuff. But that don't mean that they're not being used for a mission that's higher than all of us. And so when I hear them say that, I'm like, yeah, there's two sides to every coin. So if some of us are here as the chosen for good, then there's others here that are chosen for bad, for wicked, and they obey better than some of us do. I don't know, I might be going a little in too deep for some, you know, but anyway, that's the way I see the world. But I'm gonna get off this thing, family. See that movie. If you haven't already, I'd love to talk to you about it and get some insight of what you've seen for yourself. Killers of the Flower Moon. Check that out. It's in movie theaters now. Take care of each other out there. Peace.